Hey, this is Brett. Just wanted to go over a couple quick tips for clients on management, right? So, management of VA, it's very critical. There's a few things that I just live by that work very well, and just helps ensure that they're getting everything done, they're getting it done timely, and that they know, what needs to be done very clearly. So, RVAs, I've found that probably 98% or more, if something doesn't get done right, it's because the client didn't outline the process correctly. So I find it more and more often, more than you might know. It's just you got to be very clear. So clarity in exactly what needs to get done, right? Not always do you have to outline the exact steps to get there. Sometimes it's very innate, like, hey, research this. But you do have to give the goal. You got to give the exact what you're trying to get at. So, example, if you're trying to research and you need leads for a specific market, and you need 10 of them, and you want them to qualify with these, qualifications, right? So, medical, maybe they need to be doctors that work with, this level of person, right? This level of client. You got to be very specific in those terms, right? This list should have 10 people who fit these qualifications in these types of situations. So just as an example, but very, very descript. You can't just say, give me 10 leads. You also can't just say, hey, call 20 people, go, right? Like there's lead generation even in calling, you got to find a way to get them geared on in the beginning. You got to make sure, right, that there's a list. You got to make sure they know what to say, the script. They got to know how to qualify somebody. So the skill of cold calling even has a lot of pieces that we have to make sure are specific. And that way we can really get to success. So that's one, is just make sure you're very tight on exactly what output you need. Secondly, whenever I meet, I always like when I'm managing to check in. So you might have seen another video with my personal VA, one of them. And at the beginning, it's always, hey, how are you? How are things going? Because we are dealing with humans; they're not robots. So how was your weekend? How have things been? That always goes a long way. And just listening a little bit to them at the beginning, just like you would a normal working relationship. But critical that you do check in every week. You've got to have a set meeting time to be face to face through Skype, through Google Hangouts. It's critical, and they have to show up. You have to show up, and once you exchange niceties and show a little care, it goes a long way before you get to your task list. Um, so that's important. I would also recommend when managing, it's important just to make sure that when there's any question, when there's any frustration, like if something didn't get done, again, like any managing anybody, something didn't get done on time, something is not quite right, not quite to spec how you anticipated it. You've got to be very clear to get that in the open. You can't be passive with it. You can't be really abrasive with it. It's not saying you didn't do this and don't do that. That's not effective, especially with a virtual relationship. But the approach of calm and collected and just asking, I noticed that this specific task wasn't up to the way it was written, and show them how it was written, and say, what was going on with that? Or if something's not done on time, asking them, so I put the due date to this. Is there a problem with the due date, or what's going on? And you can see what I'm doing. I always start it with an I notice, and I always kind of wrap it up with, letting them open talk. So kind of explain. And if you just listen and kind of hear, it may be a valid excuse, it may not be. But from there, you can actually give critical feedback to say, okay, well, next time, let's make this adjustment. And you can also, cap whatever project it is by saying, we need this done by this time, and make it very clear so they know that they either will do it or there'll be an issue. With that, don't forget too, we have resources with us. We do have that strike system that if you have any problems with a VA, our staff will reach out and retrain and help your VA understand, where you're coming from and what we're trying to accomplish. And we also have resources for you. So feel free at any time to reach out if you think there's something with management or with any other part of our system that we've outlined for you. Please reach out, because myself and our business experts are more than happy to take some time with you just to make sure that everything is perfect and efficient. So feel free to reach out, and thank you very much for being a client, because we really value that, and we think that this system with Impact Assistance will make your life a lot easier.